Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second breakout session in the regional room. We are talking about ASEAN game changers. And today's panel of speakers, let me introduce them. Give a big round of applause to Lui Kin En from Glint's co-founder. Let's give him a big round of applause. Bobby Liu, Hub IT, the founder. Please give him a big round of applause. And Nilamsari, owner and marketing director of Rafi. Let's give her a big round of applause as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this session will be moderated by Dash from Startup Malaysia. Let's give him a big round of applause. Without further ado, I'll just let you take the floor.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for being here this morning. We have three panelists one from Vietnam, one from Singapore, and one from Indonesia. Huge markets. Asia is, ASEAN is a big market, 650 million people, and we're talking to what we call the ASEAN game changers. What do we mean by that? People who have actually redefined how business is done and who are actually using their home countries as a test market and expanding to other markets. And that's what's happening. At first, we had entrepreneurs who copied Silicon Valley and tried to do it in their own market and say they can't scale. But what's happening now in Asia is a new wave where they are using their home countries as test market and then slowly expanding. And let me pass the microphone to the lady first. And tell us, you have about 3 minutes, tell us about what you do, Nilamsari, and then we'll go to the next.
Hello. My name is Nilam, and actually we run for Rafi. Probably all of you know about it. I mean, we opened already like 30 stores right now in Malaysia, but we run this business already like 13 years. I started at 19, and right now it's already like 30 years, yeah. And the total of the outlets right now, we have around 1,200 outlets all around Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, China. We have in EU 1 outlet, and also in Sri Lanka. And we will open soon in Singapore and also in Brunei Darussalam. Basically what we do, we open like a kebab, but the kebab is not something like Middle East kebab. It's more to fusion food, something like Asian. So it's really adapt about Asian taste. And yeah, we're doing really good right now. And hopefully this year we will also open in Netherlands.
Hi everyone, I'm Chinan from Singapore. Yeah, I co-founded a company about 1.5 years ago. It's called Glints. So what we do is we help young people discover and develop their careers. I think one of the main challenges that we find is as young people, I think in the previous session they were speaking about young people know what they don't want to do, but they don't really know what they want to do. So what we do is we help them figure out what they want to do, and we help them get there, to help them get their first job. Yeah, so that's what we do.
Bobby, you're the youngest in this group.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of the group. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Bobby Liu. I own an incubator and accelerator in Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm actually from Singapore, but I've not lived in Singapore since 1988. Yeah, lived in 5 different other countries. So what do? In a nutshell, we also try to get everyone from Chinan's side, all the young people that don't know what they want to do, to try and promote entrepreneurship with them, to really be at the forefront of innovation, hopefully.
Thank you, Bobby. Maybe I will go back to Kinyin, right? You said many young people don't know what they don't want to do. Do you want to tell us what are some of the things that they don't want to do?
Right. Okay. So I think the stereotype for young people, unfortunately, is pretty true. Some of the things that they don't want to do. So, on our platform, we have about 12,000 students from Singapore itself. About 40% are engineering students or people with engineering degrees. The unfortunate thing is that most of them, the majority of them, actually don't want to do engineering careers. Yeah. The exception being software engineers and programmers. So those guys are the coders. Those guys are charmed by Google and Facebook. So those guys love coding.
Right.
But when we talk about the engineering, things like, chemical engineering, aerospace engineering, there is a surprisingly large number of people who graduate with those degrees, but the moment they graduate with those degrees, they want to move into something like marketing or business or
Wow, why
management.
Is that? Why is that? Then why did they do it in the first place? Why did they spend 4 or 5 years of their parents' money doing these courses?
I think at the end of the day, it's the same reason. I think young people they don't really know what they want to do, right?
Right.
So they'll just pick whatever that's on the table for them, or they'll
Okay.
pick whatever that their parents or their friends are doing for them. I mean, talking to a few of my friends, you'll be surprised at how many people make decisions on what to study in the university based on what their parents and their friends say, and not actually think about what they want to do, right? Which is concerning, and which is why we really wanted to grow our business to really help these people find their direction, hopefully before they graduate.
I see.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you get people to find their direction and find their passion, or what they call is find your element? Many people, even many adults have not found their element.
Exactly.
So they go to work every day, they're tired, they're in conflict with themselves. And tell me if this is true. Maybe Glint would work for people with midlife crisis. We are very some people are very, what shall I say, discontented with their work, and then they want to look for the weekend to release their tension. How do you get people to find the direction, the element?
Right. So I think it really starts it happens by a few layers, right? Usually we start off using the available tools and resources out there, things like your personality test, your profiling test, but those only go so far, right?
Yes.
What we do next is we actually do industry and occupational profiling, and we get information, insider information, right? Not the kinds of things you find on like Google, on like the pay, the progression. We actually find out what is it like to be in the life of, say, an engineer, a life of in a startup, for example, right? And then what we do is we provide them the opportunities to try it out firsthand for themselves.
Right.
Sometimes it's in the form of internships, sometimes in the form of attachments, job shadowing. So essentially, it's a whole process that we put them through, right? And at the end of the day, what we want them to do is to just try, right? You have 4 years in university. Your goal is to try as much as you can, try different experiences, figure out what fits for you, and then accumulate the right skills to get there.
I see.
Yeah.
So what basically Glint does is to put a mirror in front of a young person to reflect on and bring out the glint in the eye and say, boom, this is what I want to do.
Yep,
Yes?
that's right.
Am I correct in doing that? And
That's
I mean, I think then you'll have a great following around the whole world, actually, in that sense.
Exactly.
Have you raised money?
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
We raised last year. So the interesting thing about us, it's I think I believe we are the youngest to might be the youngest to have raised in Southeast Asia region.
Wow.
Yeah, because the average age of the team is 22. So so that's something we are. Yeah, we are.
A round of applause.
We are proud. Yeah, something we're working on, because I think we understand the problem best.
Right.
They are our friends. We see them struggling. And I
Right.
think that's really what drives us every day to get up to work,
Right,
right? And also, like for us, the 3 founders, we actually stopped out of college to do this.
Wow.
And the logic being that I can spend half an hour doing an assignment, or I can spend a half an hour helping 2 of my friends get employed.
Right.
I choose helping my friends getting employed.
Oh, this is amazing,
Yeah.
because you are actually the testament to what a young person wouldn't want to do and what a young person want to do.
Yeah.
That you're sold into entrepreneurship, you're sold into building a venture, creating value, becoming a job creator. Now, I'd like to just quickly move to Nilamsari, and I met your, am I allowed to say this? I'm not sure. I met your husband about 10 years ago. He was such an enterprising young man who was selling kebabs, right?
Yes.
So is that the business that you guys are in right now, or is it expanded to other products? Are you going into becoming a startup, which is, putting innovation into your product,
Yes. Basically, we started 13 years ago,
Okay.
and we started this with a push cart at that time. It's very simple push cart, but at that time we have a big dream, and we thought that it's not going to stop here, and
Okay.
we start to multiply the outlet. 1 become 6, 6 become 10, and then
Right.
it's become 100, 200,
Amazing.
and then we have this kind of dream when we follow one of these what do you call franchise expo.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we have one in Malaysia or something?
Right.
And then right now, Alhamdulillah, we already open in Malaysia,
Malaysia.
and also other countries.
Yes.
And we start to follow after the GSY. Actually,
Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I joined the GSY event
GSY
here.
is Global Startup Youth.
Yes.
It's sorry for the plug-in. It's a Startup Malaysia program. Yes.
Apparently, yes.
It also transforms lives. Yes.
And yeah, I get the inspiration from there, and then we now start to open the Membawahi online. It's a platform to sell online for kebab frozen, something
Okay.
like that at the first beginning. And then right now we have some of the vendors, which is small medium enterprises. They can sell their products over there. More about like a sambal, probably if you know something like like a food, but it's mostly frozen. Also with sambal like chips or something.
Okay.
And we try to give them some platform. If you want to, because in Indonesia it's a bit different, yeah. I mean,
Right.
we already know about internet, but some of the small medium enterprises are still selling things
Right.
through what you call direct selling. And we start to telling them, okay, you need to be online. You need to open your shops, and you can start here in Momyrafi if you want to scalable your business, and you can start to do it here.
Yeah.
And also right now we just opened recently we called Warungmi, another brand of Momyrafi. It's just opened like a week ago, and yeah, Bismillah, we can probably multiply it. And also, we also have actually another brand we called Ayam Bakar Mas Mono. It's already open also in Shah Alam, probably if you know, in section 8.
8. Okay.
Yeah, so
are you going to use this opportunity to go and visit all your outlets in
definitely.
Kuala Lumpur? Yeah?
Yes, last night I met with my master franchise here
Right.
in Malaysia, and we talk and
Right.
yes.
And Handy, Nilamsari's husband, was one of the in the apprentice, right? Yeah,
Apprentice
in
Asia.
Apprentice Asia, and it was very insightful to watch what Handy was saying during the program. And I'll just quickly move on to Bobby, our wise man who runs an incubator accelerator. Do you also have a fund, Bobby? And tell me about the entrepreneurial ecosystem in your country.
Well, my country is actually Singapore.
Singapore. Okay, I got it.
But-
Where you live in?
No. I tell all my friends in Vietnam that, in my past life, if you believe in past life, I'm actually a Vietnamese. Somehow I got lost in the ether world, and then I got born in Singapore, and then now I've returned home, right? Okay, my whole life is all about entrepreneurship. I started my first business when I was 18. Like what Chinnan said, okay, I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know what I did not know, right? Which are like 99% of any business, the difficulty of running businesses, right? I wish back then I had, people like Chinnan, or like Nilam, or forerunners that will provide to me the motivation, the inspiration, and the know-how. Today, the young people are really lucky, right? They have JFDI, for example, that groom Glint. You have GSY, that groom other people, right? And for me, similarly, and this is what I feel is a need for me to do, to return to the young people. And to me, it's not so much, I just happen to be in Vietnam because I like Vietnam. I could be anywhere. I mean, I could be in Mauritius, and I would still do the same thing. Because, ultimately, after all these years of doing business and all that, I just realized that in the end, the investment that you give to the young people is actually investment back to yourself.
Yes.
And developing an ecosystem, a community, is actually very important. And going back to the topic of what we're supposed to discuss today, to me, it's like coming full circle. And I realized that, to be a game changer is not about doing new things. To be a game changer is actually changing your own mindset and looking at outwardly to what you want to do. And that in itself will become the game changer for yourself and then for the people that you interact with.
Thank you, Bobby. They say that the 4 billionth person going to be online is already happening anytime now. And if you are young, smart, and hungry, this is the time to embrace the entrepreneurial life. This is the time for you to say, okay, I can take the destiny of my life in my hands. I don't have to work for someone. I can just go and start a venture. Now, there is another school of thought. Many parents and thinkers in the entrepreneurship domain says that young people, after college, they should work for someone. I mean, I'm going to come back to the game-changing part, but before that, I wanted to get some basic understanding. Go and work for someone, get the experience, get the network, because the first thing is, when you are starting a business as a college dropout or just graduate, one thing that you lack is what I call the credibility gap. Nobody knows you. The bankers don't know you, the funder don't know you, not many people know you. You've got high, the challenges are huge. How do you think, what do you think of that? Do you think that someone should work first or start a business first? Either of you can take this. And we'll open up later for questions. And
Right.
let's keep this fluid and jump in, anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Okay,
Let's
maybe
start.
I'll
Let's
start.
break all the rules in ASEAN Game Changers
Yes, okay.
in panels.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'll start first about what I think about the credibility issue and stuff. So we started a company 1.5 years ago, and actually we almost went to jail for that because we actually started a company illegally while we're serving in the military. That's a separate story. If you want to find out the details, I'll tell you.
So you said you nearly went to jail?
Yeah, we nearly went to jail.
Really?
Yeah, we
Okay.
nearly went to jail.
Oh
because
my
it's
goodness.
illegal to be serving the military and,
I wish you
sharing
went to
it.
jail, because that would be a better story. That would be greater story. You raise more money. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So
From Chinese prison.
yeah, yeah, that would be the heck of a story to tell. Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't see education or even work experience as necessary to start a startup.
Okay.
I think most importantly is the attitude and mindset. I think as Bobby shared very accurately, it's when you say game changing or like entrepreneurship, it starts with your mindset, and it's about being we like to call this relentlessly resourceful, right?
Yes.
No matter the challenges that are ahead of you, you will just find ways and means to get past it, right? When we needed the first seed capital for us to start it, we knew that if we don't get a seed capital, we were never going to take off, right? So we didn't see that as an option. We just had to do it, right?
Okay.
So I think it's something that it's more of an attitude or mindset. I think, the thing about education, the thing about work experiences, they're definitely helpful. We realize as we go along the path, the more we do this, the more we realize we don't know, right? But at the same time, I think it's more importantly the mindset, the attitude to seek out people who know already, and then tap on their brains, tap on their experiences, instead of having to go through the whole process yourself.
But how do you create these kind of problem solvers? Please jump in, everyone. In schools, I always believe that. I mean, I said this in a dialogue with our Prime Minister, that if you want to create high growth entrepreneurs, you need to create problem solvers in schools. And you also need to get a critical mass of people who can code. You seem to be a natural problem solver, Nilamsari as well. But how do we do that? And what is that a kind of a gene in someone, or are the game changers evolving to be game changers, or are they born game changers? I have a view on that, but before we talk about how you are changing the game in the venture, you got to be a game changer yourself, because that's what the discussion is. We're talking about the mindset, right? Bobby, you want to?
Okay, you've got this whole thing about alpha personality, the B personality and all that, and I think it's inborn. Okay, don't get me wrong. Every A personality will actually need a B personality to help them run the business, because the A personality will do the rah-rah show, right? And the B personality will be behind you, keeping house.
Just hold that thought. Peter Drucker said that in 1960, when you want to run a company, you got two types of people. One who build the track and one who drives the train. Okay, go on.
Yeah. Right, and forget about startups for now. If you talk about, real personality, for example, Yves Saint Laurent, right? He was the one that's at the cover of fashion magazine, newspapers and everything else. Okay, but it's actually his partner that kept books and planned the business, strategized the business to where it became. So for every business, and I'm sure Chingan and Nilam can share the same thing. Somebody is in the back of house that actually kept the house clean, and that allows you the freedom to be the rah-rah show that you're supposed to be for the A personality. So yes, I think partly is inborn. Problem solving is, it comes to a point whereby, as what Chinnan said, you see a problem and you don't start blaming. You don't say, oh, I can't do this. Oh my God, I got to raise money. This is so tough. I don't know this. I don't know that. It's something that you just go like, okay, I got to do it. There's no choice. It's not an option. It's not like you wake up and you can decide A or B. No, it's not. There's only one way to go, and that's the way to go. It may be the wrong way, but even as you pursue down, the wrong way actually becomes the right way. It's just a matter of, being resolute and being relentlessly, what was it? Resourceful. Yeah, to doing it.
Relentlessly resourceful.
Okay, quote that, okay? When he becomes famous, yeah, that's the quote. Relentlessly resourceful.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Well, probably in my case is when people thought that they want to open a business, they're always thinking about open something like restaurant,
Yeah.
big number, big amount of money. Which is at the time we choose to start something small with only $400 probably, 4 million rupiah equally. I mean, it's a little number. Do you know where I get that money come from? Actually, I get that money is from, when you got married with someone and then someone will give you, a packet of money. Yeah.
So you got it from all
Yes.
the ang pao, they call
Yes,
it.
ang pao.
Yes.
13 years ago, $400 is quite a big amount of
Wow.
money.
Can
And
you
we
imagine?
started that kind of numbers. And then we start with something really pushcart, food side stall. And then we just having, like this belief that, okay, it can be growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And do you know something? Both me or Handy, we don't have any education level at all, because at the time we married at 19 and we're just like
amazing.
not finish our college and at that time we just decide, okay, we have to start something business, but we don't have any money, so just start somewhere, and voila, here we are.
Very impressive.
You never know.
Ang pao is the new Series A.
Yes.
It's the angel. It's the seed. It's amazing. I have so many questions for that. Okay. Young people want to know what they don't want to do, and they know what they want to do. And now they have a formula to raise money as well. Get married, ask for ang pao. Okay. Right. Bobby. Oh, you are just holding a mic. No, okay. So there was another question that I had. If you look at Southeast Asia or Asia now, it's going there. It's a massive direction. There's a lot of noise in startup. Every single country has got a critical mass of startup building up. The bubble is there. Do you think there would ever be a situation where, number one, that we would be, I'm not going to say this, but mirror Silicon Valley, but Asian, is there going to be an Asian type where in a small area you're going to have the smartest, the most enterprising people that's going to, do you think that kind of phenomenon is going to happen anytime soon? And what's the role of governments in these? I know you're from Singapore, but you moved to Vietnam. And how's Indonesia? What do you think? About the role of governments, okay, that's the first question, and then building the critical mass of young game changers actually coming out from these ecosystems.
All right. There's never going to be another Silicon Valley,
Okay.
regardless of where.
Okay.
But we can always look to Silicon Valley as a model. But we need to adapt. And this is where I believe, growing up in Singapore helped because of the sensibility of our government. Basically getting the best of everything else,
Right.
discarding what don't work, and then combining, those elements. Silicon Valley, can we produce big players in startup? In relative terms, yes, and there are already a few from Malaysia. Like my taxi or Grab taxi.
Right.
It's already a unicorn. You have, and then you've got okay, help me here. Who's the one that is just IPO? Anyway, you have like 5 startups
Yeah,
that
that's right. Yes,
went
quite a
IPO.
few, yes.
All right, in Singapore, I don't think there's none at the moment.
Yeah.
Right, from a like startup type thing. So yes, and then you look further afield. You look into China. You have like Alibaba,
Yes,
right, which is like, my God, like value at $150 billion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it took them like 14, 15 years journey, and I think you guys should Google Jack Ma, and he's really inspirational for many different levels. It's just the thought of, I need to do it, I need to make this a success. I guess that was the only tagline that he had at that time to doing what he did, and until today. I think most entrepreneurs have that strain, that DNA strain, meaning to say, you just got to do it. There's really no choices. There's no fallback. There's no hammock below you that's going to catch you. Silicon Valley is a 100-year development. Okay, ASEAN is what, 50 years. We will produce our own Silicon Valley, and we will produce our own our own ecosystem. Okay, but very importantly, I feel, and especially doing what I'm doing in Vietnam, I really believe that ASEAN ecosystem, at least the top 6 nations in ASEAN, should really come together, work as a block, all right, and discover talents, discover and leverage off each other. Okay, learn the art of leverage off each other what each of these top 6 nations are good at.
Right. They should they should cooperate and compete at the same time in getting to the Silicon Valley level. So how do you see your Glint becoming a game changer in the next 3 years? I wouldn't say 5 because you never know. Let's talk about 3 years.
Right. I think before we get to that, I think about the role of how governments can really play a role in the whole ecosystem. I think around the world, especially in ASEAN, governments are taking a much stronger focus on startups, and that's why they have conferences like these. The Singapore government, I think, as you all would know, they pump in an incredible amount of money in the ecosystem. But I think, too much sometimes. Yeah.
Obviously, it's too much. And then you also tell a good story, actually.
Yeah, but I think the thing that I think has to change in order for all these to really pay off, and in order for us to reach like the Asian Silicon Valley, it's for the startup entrepreneurship mindset and this advocacy to be spread to spread throughout the entire government, and most importantly to our education system.
Yeah.
I see personally as a challenge that on one hand, my government is spending in a lot of money to pump into like startups.
Yes.
And on the other hand, our education system is the same way it was.
Right.
It's still producing people who are top students in exams. Right? But we are trained not to be risk takers. We are trained to be the top lawyers, the top doctors, the top engineers. Well, we need these people, right?
Yes.
But until we can adopt this mindset across every single aspect of the government, especially education, I think there will be a lot of challenges. So I think in order for us to really get to be an Asian Silicon Valley, whether it's Singapore, whether it's Malaysia, whether it's any country, I think most importantly the education must adapt and transform to reflect this kind of new approach.
Right.
Yeah.
Nilamsari, you have anything to add to that?
Yes, in Indonesia right now, the happening is there actually. I saw a lot of my friends which is now open something like Grab Taxi, but it's Gojek. Do you know Gojek?
Yeah,
Gojek is
Gojek,
with
yes.
motorbike. They can take you somewhere or taking your food or deliver something. It's like another level.
Yes.
And the government actually right now is start to, giving support and a lot of it's like seminars or something like that. But I think it's still far, Indonesia to develop this thing to another level. And definitely it's we need all the collaboration between the government and the entrepreneur and also the mentors.
Yes.
Because in Indonesia right now, the government sometimes walking by their own way, and also the private us as a entrepreneur giving some, like what do you call seminars or teaching them like, okay, when you start your business, you have to do this, this, and this. But it's not like what do you call? It's going separately. It cannot be collaborate or something. So we have to talk, sit down, and make it happen. Yes.
Yeah, I think there is a big tectonic plate. Is a movement, right? When Malaysia had its first entrepreneurship ministry, it was run by bureaucrats. It was run by government people. We call the Ministry of Entrepreneurship. And then it was dissolved subsequently. And then, I don't know, it got dissolved because I remember that I met the Minister of Entrepreneurship at one meeting, and we were talking, and I told him a story. I said, about 15 years ago, I met a Minister of IT from India, and I asked him a question: when did technology or IT become a big thing in India? And he said, when there was no IT ministry. So, you know what I mean? So this minister went around saying to everyone that, the same joke over and over and over. But anyway, the IT ministry got dissolved. But now, today in Malaysia, we have Magic. We have many people, and Magic is being run by entrepreneurs and young people. So I think we have shifted quite a lot. And it appears that the government is listening to the young people. There's a lot more dialogue that's happening, and the government is hosting many of this. So I think we are moving in an amazingly right direction for us to create more game changers, and that's quite a positive thing. Shall we open it up to the floor for some questions before we keep talking here?
Gentlemen, if you have any questions, mic's over there.
Anyone have any questions? And while we wait for your questions, I have a question. They say that when you want to start a $1 billion company or a big company, right? You got to start small, and the mindset of someone wanting to start a $1 billion company and someone wanting to start a $1 million company is different, right? So this is where I think the real game changers come, to be able to start something small but have a big dream, and not start something big and fail big. Like how you have started, and you have started from your ang pao and what you are teaching. Sorry? Bagging, is it?
Yeah. Lots of bagging.
You want to add to that, how do you get the mindset change in Vietnam and get more people to do those kind of stuff?
Okay, I agree. You got to start off something with really huge vision. See as far as you can possibly see, and then see a bit further. And the ability to see far is through mentors that you have, the advisors, and today they are readily available. You have Magic, you have JFDI, you have, I think Telkomsat has a huge accelerator, and pretty much that's what I'm doing as well in Vietnam to inspire the young people. Because a lot of young people, they don't know what they don't know. Okay, we are here to basically provide them, to look from their vision, from that point of view, okay, how far that idea can carry. Now, obviously, you start small, Glyn, just in Singapore, and then, we talked briefly earlier, what's his ambition in scaling to outside of Singapore. You got to look at that, because if you don't, okay, then you fall way short than where you're going to be. If you look to like $1 billion, okay, you probably may not reach $1 billion, but you probably get to at least $500 million. That's better than 1 million, So you got to look big, because when you look big, all of a sudden, your bird's eye view, become totally different. You see a lot more things. You see a lot more holes that you need to plug. And that's when you know who are the people you need to bring in to plug those holes, so that you're able to create the runway, the pathway to where you want to be.
Thank you, Bobby. I think we have about 5 minutes, and I want to go back to you, Juni. How would you, you want to say something about how you envision your company going forward, being the game changer? and you want to, how big, what's your dream, and what's your advice to young entrepreneurs who are in the room, or also to educators and to parents when they want their kids to, I have children as well, and they are always playing games, building games, coding, and breaking into the security systems of their school, So, so go ahead, tell us about.
Okay, so I think, so for us, our vision is really for any young person. Give us any young person with the right attitude, and we'll get him his dream job. So that's our vision, right? Essentially, you give me the right person. You don't need to have any skills. You don't need to have any experiences. But you give me someone with the right mindset, with the right mentality, we will get him
But
to
if
his
the
dream job.
the person is the right mindset, they would find it anyway. So can't we give you someone who doesn't have the right mindset? Is that able? Are you able to do something? Is Clint able to do something with that?
So I think that's something that we are always trying different ways and means to outreach and engage where they are. But I think a lot of times, I think young people, the reason why they don't have the right mindset is to start off with, they are lost. So as a result, they feel discouraged, and therefore giving the impression that they don't really, have the right mindset, they're not motivated. But I think what is really important is about finding out, what they want, what their needs are, taking the time to get to know them. And I think once that is, it's very easy to get into the right mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you make money?
How do we make money? Yeah, we actually do not charge young
Okay,
people
okay.
because that's young people who don't really have a lot of money,
Yeah.
right? But we primarily charge the employers, right?
Ah,
So employers, one of the challenges they face is also finding the right talent, and most of our employers are actually small to medium companies.
Right.
Now the big companies like Google, Facebook, Procter and Gamble, they don't have issues hiring the top talent, right? They don't have issues hiring the right talent. But these small and medium companies, right? Companies that people don't usually think of when you look for a job, right? These are the ones that they need talent even more so to grow the company, to make it successful. So we actually help these employers find the right talent faster.
Right.
Yeah. On average, it takes about 1.5 months to fill a job. Right, but we cut the time down by half to about 2 or 3 weeks.
I
Yeah,
see.
and it's this value proposition that's our primary business model.
I see.
Yeah.
But what if these young people don't find the companies that you are matching them with as sexy, or they want to go to Google or Facebook or, so how do you deal with that? Because okay, this is my right job, but I don't want to work for Lim Tire or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in fact, that is the exact reason why companies work with us. We make their company sexy to work for.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, because we know what young people are looking out for. We can take any company, like literally, and that is what we have been doing. We make any company sexy to the young person. And it's not about cheating them or selling fluff.
Okay.
It's really about just bringing out the learning opportunities. If you think about, for you guys who have hired before, if you think about how you write your job descriptions, you write, I want this. It's like a bucket list that you want as an employer.
Yeah.
But what we do is we take that list, we turn it around into what this means for the young person. What kind of learning opportunities will you get? What kind of growth opportunities you have? So it's that kind of spin that we add to the whole process.
Actually, it's funny. Startup Malaysia, we hire people as well, and a lot of people, and we don't give them a job description. We don't. There is no list. I think it's any Startup Malaysia team here. They just and we just say come in and just do it.
Exactly.
So that's how it is. I think the culture is changing, and that's what we do. Nilamsari, what's your advice to the young people and how to become game changers and and
Just follow your
any general
dreams.
anything?
Just follow your dreams and start actions, because the only thing that we have is only time, right?
Yeah.
And even though me, I'm not even finish or graduate my college, I can do it.
Wow.
With only ang pao, right? Series A investment, we can do it. And a lot of people saying that Nilam, you're not going to make it anyway because it's only push card. It's not going to be less or. What are you doing with your life? I mean, you're a graduate from. I mean, you're now school in one of the best university in Surabaya. I mean, it's like the second biggest city in Indonesia. And what are you doing with your life? I mean, why you mess with your life and you selling something like pushcart? But yeah, we have dream over there, and not ever let anyone told you that you cannot do it. Just do it, and We also have actually like what do you call a class to start up. We give them something technique and basic, like something like how do you set the cost, how do you set the franchise agreement, how do you set the SOP and everything. Because right now in Indonesia, the government, like I said, the government and also the private sector is not really, what do you call, collaborate together to help the startup and entrepreneur. So we give them something like a class. It's like what do you call, basic class, a week, basically 5 days a week, and we give them something that really technique and basic.
Okay.
And it's not just motivation, but they can also learn, directly see, Rafi can do it, and you can always do it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Just fine.
Go ahead.
Curious. Okay, before I came to this panel here, I imagine, we're going to have a lot of young people.
Yeah.
Actually, we got a lot of orang tua.
Oh my God, that's no such thing.
Okay, in the 30s, 40s even, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just curious. Why are you guys here? Are you guys like having sort of, whatever, a second thought about wanting to do something on your own, wanting to hear from people, So anything from the floor?
Anybody, any questions from the floor, from the, yeah.
Here's a question.
And that's 2 questions, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Both are young.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
Hi, it's Ibrahim here.
Ibrahim, hi.
Hi. So yeah, I can see some young entrepreneurs here. So basically, my question to them, and you can also share some ideas, some views here. So my question, you're sharing like some engineers, like personally, I'm an engineer here. I'm now studying like mechanical engineering, 3rd year. So some engineer, like you said, even like they're doing engineering, not to deal something in entrepreneur or something, completely different field, but they just want to get it done ASAP. And after that, they want to enter like his entrepreneurship, try to make their own sign or their own trademark, something like that, right? So how, like after they're done with the, maybe they're like having their education, like they need to finish their studies first. So like for me, I'm just putting myself in the shoes of an engineer, someone like in my age, right? So like how they can prioritize, like how they can like choose the goal, like how to prioritize between the things, like whether it's like the heart's call, like should they listen to it, and how they'll get to know like where they really can succeed, right? So that was my first question, like whether maybe just go like the normal way, like the way it's like the traditional way, right? Or thinking out of the box, doing something bit different, right? So how they can choose that option, or how they can motivate themselves to choose that option, right? So that's the first question. Second question is like, to be motivated all the time is not a easy thing. You have the motivation, and after sometimes you lose it, right? So like you lose it, right? So it's like being motivated for like 1 week, you're so motivated, or 1 month, you're so motivated, and after that, like you're losing, and then you're saying like, what to do? I mean, why I'm here? I could have done like the way my friends getting a job. They're like hired good companies. They're having at least some salary, and I'm losing everything. So what I'm doing here, just get back to my old place where I truly belong, or something like that, right? You get me, right? So how then you can keep yourself motivated to push your goals, to push your dreams? So that's the second question.
Thank you.
So I think you got the
Okay, I'll start. Okay, I studied mechanical engineering too.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the line, I actually had a fashion company. How did that connect? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So in mechanical engineering, I majored in industrial design. So
Great.
maybe innately, I'm sort of creative in that sense, right? And using lessons that I learned in school. It's not about it's not about mechanical engineering. It's about the lessons you learned in school. It's about the principles, what guide you. For me, when I do my design, it's about practicality. You can have the best design, but if it's not practical, it's not going to work. So that drives, my creativity, practicality, motivation. That part I cannot help you. Because as what you say, oh, my friends are doing this, why can't I do this? You're having second mind, second thought to what you want to do.
I can help him there later.
Yeah, okay, so whip him up. But
No motivator.
that's something that we cannot help because it has to come from yourself.
Yeah.
There is never ever going to be a time when you wake up and say that, man, I should have joined Google. No, it'd be like every morning you have to wake up and say that I'm going to beat Google, and that's what Google did when they first started. That every day they woke up and say to themselves, okay, we're going to beat the shit out of Yahoo, and they did. That's the single-minded attitude that you have to have, and it comes down to a really small band of people.
Yeah.
Either you're stubbornly stupid or you're stupidly stubborn.
Yeah.
Probably from me is there's no like regular way. You have to find the amazing way that will be fit you, and you can do whatever you want as long as you're serious and keep doing it. I mean, not stop. You will find your way. And how to motivate yourself? For me, it's always work when I'm finding my friends like this, the crazy people like this, and it always give me like a positive aura or something.
Feedback.
And when I have problem, I can share to them, and then they will give me some like advice or things. But there's no choice to go back. Nilam, you have to go faster, something like that. And there's no choice to why I doing this business or why I'm not going to Google or something. But the only choice that you have is you have to move forward and not stop and do whatever it takes to make it bigger and bigger. Because big is not an option. You have to be big.
So bottom line, having crazy friends, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the points that they raised up are very relevant. But I think it's very important for me to emphasize one part, and something I see a lot of my friends do. Honestly, me and my co-founders, we are not the smartest people around, by far, by a lot, right? But I think the thing about it is a lot of times young people and my friends, we have a lot of ideas, but very few actually get about to doing it, right? I think ideas, it's the cheap part, right? Like if you want ideas, you can go Google and there's like 1,000 business ideas that you can do. But I think execution is it's the really difficult part, and it's something that you just gotta wake up every day, tell yourself you gotta do it, right? For us, it's about removing your second options, right? Just to share, me and my two other co-founders, we actually went to college last year for a very short period of time in the United States, right? It was great. It was a lot of fun. We just wanted to know what college was like. But then we realized that it wasn't the right thing to do for the business, right? We were creating backup options for ourselves, right? So what if our startup doesn't work out? Oh, we just go back to college.
Can you tell them what colleges you guys went to?
Oh, okay. So two of my partners, one of them was at Wharton at UPenn, another one's at Berkeley, and then I was at Stanford. Yeah. So yeah, these aren't bad colleges these aren't bad backup options at all, right? But for us, what it meant was that in order for us to make our startup succeed, we had to remove that option. And that's the reason why I'm here and not over there, right? The weather there is much better, but I'm here, yeah. So I would say, if you feel that's something you really want to do, remove all the back paths and just only have that one way forward going, yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Dash.
amazing. Give him a round of applause. Not so smart, but went to Stanford and quit Stanford. This is amazing, right? So talking about motivation, if I may just add, and end it, you could very easily be demotivated in the entrepreneurship field, right? And is that me or what? It could be very easily demotivated. They say that 8 out of 10 businesses fail in the first year of your starting a venture. But if you keep thinking about these kind of statistics, you'll never do anything. The way to keep motivated is, first you must find your passion. This is what I really want to do. And the second thing is to keep doing things. Your bias for action. Every time you do something, you fail smaller and smaller, and it increases the probability of your success. To me, that's the only way to keep motivated, because success matters. Failure is inconsequential, so you got to keep doing it. And with that, to all the three ASEAN game changers. You know, I would like to thank you for coming to Malaysia, sharing your thoughts. You know, and please catch a hold of them and ask them for more ideas. Thank you very much, Bobby, Nilamsari.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, a big round of applause for Lui Kin En, Bobby Liu, Nilamsari, and of course the very witty Dash from Startup Malaysia. We are breaking for lunch right now, and we will resume our session at 2 p.m. Next up in this room, I'm not so sure what, because I'll be in the other room. But we're having a very interesting lunch session, so I hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.